How's it going, guys? Sidu here, and today I have a very important question for you. Do you ever get tired of your same old gaming monitor? Well, I mean, can you even call it a gaming monitor? I'm so fed up with these kind of things, man. These were not meant for gaming. I'm so done with this. Now that's what I call a monitor, the 144 Hz brand new curved gaming monitor from MSI. Guys, I'm wearing this eyeball to let you know that using a curved gaming monitor is going to be a better experience for your eyes. It is immersive, it is comfortable, and most importantly, it is affordable. Those are the three check marks that you're looking for when you're gonna buy a gaming monitor. This thing is absolutely insane. I cannot believe it. If you guys wanna check it out, make sure you click the link below the YouTube video, and if you're watching it on the stream, make sure you click the link below the channel. And why not curved? Check out your curved gaming monitor from MSI today. How's it going, guys? Sidu here, and today we're going to be talking about essences for healers. As you can see, these are the list of essences, and they're going to be the same for every single healer. So I've been playing on the tournament realm a little bit, so I'm just going to give you guys an idea of what I thought was good and what I feel like is actually going to be good, so on and so forth, based off different scenarios for different healers. Some of this might not be super accurate and is definitely subject to change depending on certain things, but there's some traits I thought were going to be really good, or excuse me, essences I thought were going to be really good that I tried out and I've been disappointed. Some I didn't think were going to be that good, and I've been using them and I've actually been fairly pleased. So, obviously a lot can change. So let's go ahead and start with Artifice of Time. We'll just go right down the list. Artifice of Time is something that sounds really, really, really crazy, but I haven't even used it once, but I played against it and I've been a little disappointed with it so far. When I first read it, I thought it was going to be really crazy. It kind of sounded like, Voidstone on crack, but I just feel like it's so much worse. When you pop Voidstone, what you did was you let it soak up all that damage, and then you just started healing, and you would pump healing into them. But what happens with Artifice is, if you use it, and they take a ton of damage, they're going to get a huge dot, which means you still have to heal through that dot afterwards. So I feel like classes that really struggle with burst healing, it's really not doing much. Pausing the health of someone for a few seconds could be good. I think the only situation I would use this in is maybe versus Windwalker Monk, and I'm saying maybe because I was actually playing Windwalker comps last night, and they were using Artifice, and we would just break through the Artifice, and they would get a huge dot, and we would just kill them through anyway, so it didn't really feel that good. But I would probably use this against something like Double Fire Mage, where the damage is so unbelievable that if 3 G-Pies go through, you have no way to heal through it. Maybe I would use this against Double Fire Mage on my healers. Other than that, I think it's a little disappointing. You could definitely give it a try, but you just got to keep in mind that you have to do a ton of healing. I thought this could be good for Resto Shaman, but Resto Shamans literally don't heal. I think Disc Priest would have trouble topping through this kind of mechanic. Resto Druids it could be good for, but I feel like other traits are just way better for Resto Druid. So I don't think it's very good, and the passive is a very high chance to proc haste, which I don't think is that great of a passive considered some of the other ones. So Artifice of Time, in my opinion, is kind of a bust. I think it could be good on Paladins. This is one thing that I think Paladin, it could be good on Paladin, because Paladins kind of lost their double sacrifice. This kind of gives you more time to regain that sac, regain the Blessing of Protection, stuff like that. But you got to keep in mind that if you use Artifice, you might have to use Wings to heal through the dot damage, which means you're kind of using like a 2-for-1 anyway. Not a big fan of it, in my opinion. So definitely a little displeased. Conflict and Strife is something that I'm also not a huge fan of. I feel like, generally speaking, getting the 4th Honor talent is probably a lot worse than getting one of the better essences in general. But what I do like about Artifice is for some classes that are struggling with getting trained, this is a good answer because you get a ton of versatility. So if you use the Major, when you're stunned, the defensive benefit from your versatility is doubled. So what I understand is my versatility right now is at 23%, and it decreases damage by 11.5. So if I get stunned, that 11.5 immediately goes to 23%. So this is something that if you're getting crushed by Rogue Mage or something, this could be really good. If I was playing against Rogue Mage on my Shaman, perhaps, and I'll probably never play Shaman again, I would probably use Conflict and Strife just to survive those stuns. So it actually doubles the effect of your verse, which is really powerful. If it's like kind of like minor damage on you and you're not really dying in stuns, it's more or less you're just getting trained the whole game. The minor's really good. Like if you want to throw this minor in the slot right here, because then you have the minor. Your spells and abilities have a chance to increase your verse by 50, stacking up to 8 times. Just a ton of verse like the entire game. So the minor is really effective if you're being trained for just a ton of verse. The major is okay. I would say maybe versus rogue mage if you feel like there's no better essences for you, but there are a lot of good essences. So that's definitely a possibility in that regard. So conflict and strife is one of the ones that I didn't really think was going to be that great, but I definitely found uses where I liked it a lot. Lifebinder's invocation. I really like the idea of this, but I don't know how good it's actually going to be. It seems like a ton of healing, and I actually haven't tried it yet. I probably should try it, but it's kind of like a unique situation where there needs to be a lot of healing going out. I probably had an opportunity to try this last night, actually. So, multiple things with Lifebinder Invocation here that makes it really good. Number one, it's a Holy Tree cast. So, it's immediately going to be better on Resto Druid, because if you kick it, they can cast their nature heals. Shaman, if you kick it, they can cast their nature heals. On a Priest or Paladin, if you kick it, they're locked out on their healing tree, so it's a little not as good for them. Another thing to keep in mind is that it puts up a ton of debuffs. So for Resto Druid, this is 10 magic buffs. And if you purge it, you don't take 10 stacks, you take 1. So for Resto Druid, it's insanely good buff protection. I was actually playing against a Shadow Priest last night, and I probably should have used this, because you can Seeds of Eonar, and then Overgrowth, and then those Shadow Priests aren't going to purge all your hots. Probably really bad into Kleptomania, by the way. But it'll actually give you time to get those hots up. It is actually a lot of healing. It's a lot of healing. And, you know, it's kind of like a free heal that if you get kicked on it, you can just start casting your nature tree on Resto Druid. So I feel like this has a lot of synergy with Resto Druid. So it's I don't know for sure how good it's going to be, because a lot of times on Resto Druid I use Memory of Lucid Dreams, which I'll talk about in a second, but there's definitely some synergy there for Resto Druid to give you purge protection, to give you an extra school of healing, which is phenomenal, and things like that. So I would see this being good into like the Roddy type comps, you know, maybe like a Destro Shadow Priest or Rogue Shadow Priest or something like that. But yeah, generally speaking, the passive, also your heals have a high chance to implant a Seed of Eonar. This actually might be a pretty good passive. I need to mess around with this a little bit more. A very high chance, and it's like a 4600 heal, might just be a ton of free healing. So I need to test this a little bit. But yeah, so major's good, minor's pretty good, because you can, you know, for example, you can use Memory of Lucid Dreams in the major. Oh, not in the rest area. Hold on 1 second. Memory of Lucid Dreams in the major, and then you can use like Lifebinder's Invocation in the minor for, you know, mana and healing, almost. You don't get the major effect, but you still get the minor. So pretty solid. Memory of Lucid Dreams is going to be the one that is probably going to be most common for healers, in my opinion. It just gives you 100% mana regen increase for 15 seconds. And this synergizes really well with mana return abilities. So, for example, when you pop Memory of Lucid Dreams and you have the 100% mana regen increase, when you use Powered Solace, instead of getting 1% mana, you get 2% mana. If you use Mindbender, instead of getting 0.5% per hit, you get 1% per hit. It literally doubles the amount of mana you get. Using Memory of Lucid Dreams with Mindbender is going to give you a insane amount of mana back, as well as just increasing your passive mana regen. So phenomenal for mana. So this is great for Disc Priest. This is great for Resto Druid, the two classes that a lot. I don't think you're going to see Paladins use this too much. You could see Mistweavers using this. If you're running out of mana, guys, Memory of Lucid Dreams is your go-to. You want to use it 100%. Even the minor's really good. So if you're in a situation where you want to play a different trait, for example, am I not in the rest area? You want to play a different trait, for example? I can't switch it while I'm on cooldown. While it's on cooldown. You switch this out here. You could put Memory of Lucid Dreams in your passive, and the passive just has a chance to 50% chance to refund mana. I use Memory of Lucid Dream passive a lot. Excuse me, maybe not yeah, the minor, I should say. And it restored in this game right here. This was a 6-minute game. It gave me back 9,000 mana. Not too shabby. 9,000 free mana for a minor trait, which is not bad in my opinion. So just free mana. Really, really solid all around. So this is definitely going to be the best mana trait, major and minor. Ripple in Space is something that I have not really experimented a lot with at all. It's one of the ones I don't think is good. It's a 1-minute cooldown. It's a pretty short range. You could do some pretty cool things with it, But overall, I feel like it's kind of more flashy than actually good, at least for healers. If you're getting absolutely trained on, for example, a Mistweaver or a really high mobile target, maybe that one extra port will give you the distance you need. I can maybe see that working. Ripple in space might be kind of cheeky for getting fears, but I really feel like you can't afford giving up your major slot for that. The only one I really could see Ripple in space being good for is maybe Mistweaver Monk. For example, if I'm playing on a priest and I'm getting trained by TSG, then all of a sudden I'm right here because I port. I'm going to get gripped, I'm going to get charged. The way you would really want to use it is you'd be behind a pillar and you use it to port over there, then you run back here, and then they would go behind a pillar, then you port over here. So you can actually get away with it. Honestly, versus TSG or something, it might actually be the play. If you're just getting absolutely trained down on a Disc Priest, maybe this is the difference that'll get you away. I could see it. I could see it. I could definitely see this being the game changer. You know, for example, just using it behind a pillar is just really crazy. Like, you know, you're standing here, you pop it, because it's a 25-yard range, but it's infinite in terms of how far it can take you, I guess. So let's go ahead and pop this in here real quick. Ripple in space. So, like, what you would want to do is something like this. You know, you're at the pillar, you're getting your ass beat in, you pop Ripple in space, you go as far as you can, and then they go behind the pillar, and then you try and sneak away that way. You know what I mean? But I think it's probably going to be a little bit better for something like Mistweaver Monk that already has a ton of mobility, because you get to weave it into the rotation, if that makes sense. But not the best trait, but you could find some use for it, in my opinion. I think the miner's pretty bad. I wouldn't ever recommend picking this miner. Crucible Flame. Now, this is one that I was really excited for when I first got it on live. Then I kind of felt like it wasn't that good. And now I am a huge fan of Crucible of Flame. I think this trait is really, really good. The 3-stack does an insane amount of damage. Or, I guess I should say 2-stack. On the third one, it's increased by 200%. So I call that a 2-stack or a 3-stack. Whatever. And I think versus comps that purge a lot, it loses its value because it is a magic buff. But I could see every single healer using Crucible of Flame in some situation. On Druid, I generally use Memory of Lucid Dreams. On Shaman, I haven't played it because they're terrible, but I would probably use Crucible in a lot of situations. Paladin, you could play Crucible. Mistweaver Monk, you could play Crucible. It's free healing and free damage. And if you line up a triple Crucible on your team, all 3 members on your team use Crucible, and all 3 members drop their 3-stack Crucible at the same time, it is a ton of damage. I've gotten 90,000 crits on my Disc Priest because it scales with damage modifiers. So if I use Dark Arc and I use Schism, it could crit for 90k. It could crit for 100k. So that's literally a 15% damage increase with another 40% damage increase. It's affected by Verse. You could use your on-use Verse Trinket, which is another 10% damage increase. This is just absolutely insane. And not only that, guys, that's just the burst part. My damage breakdown, the dot for Disc Priest. Look at this damage. This is a dot. This is the on-use. This is a dot. 6%, almost 5%, 14%, about 26% of my damage right there. We could look at another game. Little bit weaker here. Oh, I wasn't playing this game. Okay, hold on a second. All right, here's another game with it. I must have clicked the same game. I'm an idiot. Because I swear I played every single game. Hey, what the heck's going on? Are these all the same game? Alright, let's check this one. Alright, here we go. 10%, 10%, and then another 6.5%. I swear there's probably a game in here where I probably crit someone for like, I don't know, 80k or something. Let me see here. Seated Priest, Concentrated Flame. That's 12,000. We don't talk about that one. Concentrated Flame. Where's it at? Here's the dot. Oh, Concentrated Flame, 32k. Let's just go ahead and do it here. Let's get 2 stacks going real quick. So you see, every stack increases the damage done by 100%. You can get a 2-stack, and then it goes all the way up to 200. You have 2 charges of it, so you could bang someone really hard, but you don't really want to do that because it puts up a dot. So I generally wouldn't recommend going, you know, pop pop, unless you really, really want to. You can't stack the buff in the starting room. But in general, all I'm saying is this trait's absolutely incredible. It's really versatile for your DPS as well. You know, if your healer's dying in a stun and they want to pop a 2-stack on you, it's going to heal you for 30, 40k. It could make the difference. So let's just go ahead and show you how much damage this could actually do. This is a target dummy 0 verse. So obviously it would be reduced a little bit in arena in some situations, but just in general. Also, I don't have Dark Arc, so that's another 15% damage. So on use trinket for verse, Schism goes up. 60,000. Crit, 90,000. Dark Arc, so on and so forth. 60k crit with something like RMP, Jungle, that's devastating. So, by far, Concentrated Flame, one of my favorite damage traits so far. And just doing damage procs the dot. So, like, for example, as a Disc Priest, you always want your Shadow Word Pain up. Look at this dot right here. You guys see this? 4,900 over... It's better than Purge the Wicked. Like... It just procs. Doesn't account for tome and healing, but just passively adding more damage to that disc toolkit, which is really, really good. It's incredible. I love this trait. By far my favorite trait. I think it's really fun to coordinate, you know, the big burst with it. You know, get the Dark Arc Schism, things like that. This, to me, almost feels like at rank 3, because I think at rank 3 is when you get the double charge, this almost feels like a mandatory trait for Disc Priest right now. Every time I take it off, it feels like my damage isn't good enough. It feels like my healing could be lacking a little bit. I tried playing Memory of Lucid Dreams, but what ends up happening with Memory of Lucid Dreams as Disc Priest is you can go the distance, but then your healing starts to feel really weak. So when you get to that point in dampening, Disc Priest is just not as good as Resto Druid. So it feels like closing the game out is just a better option. So... yeah, generally I use Crucible Flame with Memory Lucid Dream Minor on Disc Priest. That's what I like a lot. Ever Rising Tide is a trait that originally I was pretty excited about. Believe it or not, I felt like this trait was only good for Resto Druid. And reason why is because I feel like Resto Druids have the most mana efficiency in the game right now. And this kind of halts your mana regen, so it makes it a little bit awkward. So what I was doing was I was playing Ever Rising Tide Major. I was playing Lucid Dreams Minor for trying to get maximum regen. But it just feels like games come down too much to mana for Ever Rising Tide to be good. But if you're playing a Resto Druid and you're losing games before you're ooming, Ever Rising Tide could be a great answer to that situation or that problem. And one of the things that's really crazy about Ever Rising Tide is if you pop it and then you pop Overgrowth, it gives you 3 stacks immediately. So you can get like 24% healing increase. If you're getting trained down on Resto Druid, you're in bear form, you can Ever Rising Tide in bear form, then immediately pop Overgrowth, have 3 stacks, your Frenzy's going to be increased, and you just want to do everything you can to get those stacks up. So Ever Rising Tide was a little bit disappointing for me just because it feels like if you run out of mana, you lose the game. But if it's a matchup where it feels like healing is more important than mana, definitely a really, really great option. Well of Existence is one that I was really excited for, but I kind of feel like it ended up being a bust. One thing that's kind of overpowered about Well of Existence is you can start it in the starting entrance, like in the arena prep. You could just spam overheal and get a huge proc or whatever, a huge buff. It could literally go upwards of 300,000. But it feels like after you use that first big Well of Existence, it never gets stacked up again. And it feels like it's really minor. I feel like the healing, like the minor... Basically, overhealing gets stored. I feel like that stored healing is going to be worse than something like Life Binders or Vitality Conduit in the minor slot. So it feels like it's just not going to be that good. If you're somehow in a matchup where you feel like the game is literally 1 minute long, playing Well of Existence to just get that huge fucking heal at the start of the game, you just start it in the arena prep. For example, I think like Windwalker DK Mirrors last patch were literally a 1 minute game. Literally just a 1 minute game, guys. You would run in, whoever killed the healer in the first minute won. Well of Existence would have been great in that matchup because you would have just had free 300,000 heal. I would have used it in that matchup. You don't need mana. You don't need anything else. You just need a huge fucking heal. So that thing is pretty good in that regard. Otherwise, the healing is pretty lackluster. You don't ever do enough overhealing in arena because you want to be efficient so you don't so it kind of sucks. Vision of Perfection is one of the traits I think is pretty bad. The only class I think this is good on for Holy Paladin. I believe it reduces the cooldown of their wings and has a chance to proc wings, I believe, or one or the other. Vision of Perfection I think is only going to be good for Holy Paladin for more wings uptime. As you guys may know, Holy Paladin suck without wings. With wings, they're fucking insane. So Vision of Perfection might kind of push them over the edge where it feels like they have wings all the time. I think this might be the go-to for Paladin if you're not ooming. Definitely something you really want to keep an eye on. So, in general, bad for most healers. Great for Holy Paladin, in my opinion. So, other than that, yeah, I think it stinks a lot. I haven't actually messed around with it, but in general. Vitality Conduit, this is a trait that I thought was going to be absolutely fucking terrible. I still kind of feel like it's really fucking awkward. I've never used the major, but I have used the minor, and the minor is kind of like free healing, and I think the minor is fucked up right now because I think the minor breaks CC. Targets of your heals have a very high chance to transfer 12,000 health from the highest health ally. So, for example, I think it breaks CC. I'm not 100% sure. If I'm at 100% HP and Sam's at 80% HP, I have a chance to give him my HP, which I think will break polys and stuff. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it's free healing when you're in CC. It's a decent amount of healing. Versus like a Roddy comp, I don't think it's that good because it is taking your health to give it to someone else. So if you're all dying, it kind of seems a little awkward. How to use a passive? It's level 55 and 65. Probably shouldn't answer that. I'm streaming right now while making this YouTube video. Don't tell anyone. So Vitality Conduit I think is good versus CC comps. Mainly because it's free healing while you're CC'd. I almost think of it like as a Ysera's Gift type thing. Other than that, I don't think the major is very good. But I thought it was going to... excuse me. I thought it was going to suck. Turns out it's pretty decent for a minor. And then Worldvine Resonance I think is absolutely terrible. Like, I think it's literally just absolutely garbage. I would never pick this. I am never going to pick this, and I would not recommend you picking this. So that kind of breaks it down for the essences. You have a lot of options here. You know, for example, you can go Crucible Flame and Memory of Lucid Dreams for damage. You could go full mana, which would be Memory of Lucid Dreams Major, which I can't actually put in right now because this thing goes on cooldown. You put Memory of Lucid Dreams in, and then you put Ever Rising Tide in, because the Ever Rising Tide is actually really good passive for mana. So I didn't talk about this, but your heals have a chance to grant either 1770 intellect for 10 seconds or give you 2600 mana, and the chance to get more mana increases as your mana goes down, which is fantastic. And then 20% chance to gain both effects. This actually is really solid. Really solid. I took a screenshot last night on Twitter, which I will show you right now, to show you the power of the two mana traits combined with each other. Let me see if I can find this real quick. So last night, this was probably like an 8 to 10 minute game. My Ever Rising Tide Minor, this is a minor trait, guys. Ever Rising Tide Minor gave me 30,000 mana. My Lucid Dreams gave me 20,000 mana. And this new fucking enchant they added, Oceanic Restoration, gave me 16,000 mana. This is 72,000 mana that I should have not had in that game. So if you're ooming, Lucid Dreams Major, Ever Rising Tide Minor, and boom. Big mana increases. Lots of mana. So yeah. Obviously, like I said, all this is definitely subject to change. But so far, the essences have been a lot of fun. You could definitely change them up depending on certain situations. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. Pogs. Peter Pan, that's what they call me. I promise that